So we see Vice President Biden is dealing with some serious issues on this Hyde Amendment. He's pulling back. And what does he face as he deals with the Democratic field on this issue? He was on one position for a long time.
I think it's going to be a big problem for him, right? I think he has been more conservative than the vast majority of the Democrats in the field right now. And he's flip-flopped. He flip-flopped and then flopped again, right? And so the question is going to be, where does he stand? Does he have to re-examine all of his positions throughout the many decades that are oftentimes now at odds with where the Democratic base is?
That's the problem. I mean, Biden historically is out of step where the Democratic Party is today. The party has moved to the left. He has a long record of centrist or moderate, now conservative-seeming positions that aren't going to fly with the activist base of the Democratic Party. And you could see this happening during the week, kind of in real time, as activists began to criticize him and other candidates began to criticize him. And then you had that sudden pirouette of Biden kind of changing positions. You know, he's done it on this. There are other things in his record that he's probably going to have to think about now, and could have a whole series of events where Biden is apologizing or making amends for old positions.
Do you think that this is going to pay a price for Biden in the debate? Does this make him more vulnerable for people to attack him, or is he more protected when the debates happen?
It certainly raises questions about whether he's too removed from sort of the state of the party now, and especially the voters themselves. It's a different era from when he ran the last 2 times, or the last 3 times, sorry. And so it's really hard to say how people will react at the end of the day. He was ultimately playing to a general election voter base that he was thinking, you know, they're a little bit more to the center. But ultimately, a lot of people are going to view him very skeptically because it was a flip-flop and they don't know what his views are at this point.
Inside the White House, Vice President Biden is still seen as one of the leading contenders?
Absolutely. I mean, if you just look at President Trump's Twitter feed, he seems to be really, I don't want to use the word obsessed, that's too strong, but I mean, he really views Biden as the one he has zeroed in on, the one he goes after. You know, he criticized him when he was in Japan on his recent trip. So regardless of the conversation we're having about how Biden does with the progressive base or whether Biden's flip-flops hurt him, the Trump orbit appears to regard Joe Biden as their most formidable foe at this point. Now, it's so early that it almost doesn't, it makes sense that perhaps they're focused on the person who has the greatest name recognition, and it could well be that in 6 months, when someone else emerges from the field, President Trump will turn his attention to that person. But at this point, regardless of whatever perceived vulnerabilities Joe Biden has, Donald Trump seems to think he is the guy he will be facing next year.